Welcome to Unleashed, the show that explores how to thrive as an independent professional. Unleashed is produced by Umbrex, which connects you with the world's top independent management consultants. I'm your host, Will Bachman, and I am so excited to be here today with Gemma Toner, who is the CEO and founder of Tone Networks, a business that's dedicated to empowering women. Gemma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Gemma, let's start with the basics. Tell me, what is Tone?
Sure. So, Tone Networks is a video based learning and leadership platform that is designed for super busy women that are short on time, but high on ambition, if you will. And we make it really easy for women to consume the content that we create. And we provide access to executive coaching and experts and live stream events in a supportive environment online.
Okay, and what is your kind of target audience with? I mean, women is half the population. Within that,
Yeah,
what's sort of your target
yeah, I would
population?
say, there's something for everyone at Tone. I would say we focus mostly on working women, and our goal is to get women access to resources that are reserved for a very, very small portion of the population, whether that's executive coaching that, only certain executives get, or that's access to experts that, quite frankly, you can't just make an appointment with, and oftentimes they're expensive. So our goal is to really democratize what um, is reserved for a very small percentage of the population so that women can get access to that knowledge. And most importantly, when we were doing the consumer research to understand what women wanted, we needed to make it short and in tiny kind of consumable bites, if you will, because women are really short on time and we needed to make it easy for them to access.
Okay, and is it primarily a platform that just an individual person would go up and sign up for, or is it mainly a service that would be maybe purchased by a corporation and made available to their employees, or is it both?
Great question. Yeah, great question. We actually have two business models. We have a membership model for individuals, and then we also work with Fortune 500 companies. They purchase a tone for their employees. Typically, these companies are looking to move women along in their talent pipeline, and so tone is a scalable solution for them to get experts in executive coaching to a very broad group of women in their organizations.
Okay. Uh, and what are the topics that of the different videos and other learning? So what are the topics that
Yeah,
you focus on?
another good question. So we really focus on the whole person because last time I checked, none of us kind of split ourselves down the middle when we cross over into the threshold of our offices. Now, often for many of us, our home office. So we look at work life, mind, body, and money. And those are the type of experts and short form videos that we offer, as well as the type of events. We create live events. We have one actually happening today on sleep, where we have a sleep expert, where women will come together. We'll probably have a couple thousand women show up, and we'll be sharing the sleep expert's knowledge as to how to get a better night's sleep and why it's so important. So that would be an example of how tone impacts both your personal and your professional life. The better rested you are, the better you are as an executive, the better you show up at your place of work, and the better you are when you get home.
And and tell me a little bit more. So, what would be some examples of the problems that you're trying to solve of content that might not be available in other places on on LinkedIn Learning
Sure.
or on YouTube or on or other places? What are you trying to do that's
Right.
different?
What we're doing that's different is really the combination of this short form videos that are personalized to the individual's interests. So when we built the software platform, we basically created a way for women to let us know what they're interested in, and then we actually serve to them content that is what we hope relevant and of interest. The other thing that we do that's very different is we actually push content to women in the form of what we call tone teasers. And tone teasers are meant to tease you away from your routines so that you can take some time to actually invest in yourself and learn something new. The other piece that we have is that we also have this library of content that, again, is delivered to our users in a very custom fashion. But then we also have these live stream events where it's an entire community of women coming in from all over the world, all different types of jobs, basically self selecting into a specific topic, an interest, and then actually being a part of a much broader conversation where we have an expert presenting, and then it's an interactive experience where our members can actually ask questions live. And then it's archived in our platforms so that if you happen to miss it, you can come back and learn. And what we find, which is really interesting, is there's been plenty of research about women don't always raise their hand. What we find is that at these tone talks, what we have is very robust conversation. And when we survey after, we also find that the women that attended actually learned from the other women's questions, right? So it's like, wanted to ask that question, didn't feel comfortable enough to, but I'm really glad somebody else did. So there's this combination of this community learning experience as well as an individual personalized experience, and it with the on-demand videos.
And what do you find by having a real focus on serving women? I mean, men might be interested in work-life balance and mind-body as well. So what does it allow you to have kind of a different voice, or does it create a different vibe or a different experience when there's just a real focus on women? Tell me a little bit about, creating a
Yeah, I mean,
space where.
I think one of the things that it is about creating a space, a safe place, right? And, yes, this, the work-life balance and a lot of the topics certainly are not exclusive, if you will, to women. What I will say is that because the community comes together, there's a sense of I'm not alone. I appreciate that there's other people out there that are experiencing this as well. So there's that sense of support. And, there's been, again, plenty of research done where women need a sense of community to help build confidence. And so that is a big part of what Tone actually provides, is this place where you can learn on your own, but you can also go into a live experience and learn with others.
Right. So tell me, what are some of the so for when you're having conversations with corporate buyers who are going to provide this then to their employees? Tell me a little bit about what's the sort of the pitch, what's sort of the value proposition that you bring to a corporate employer?
Yeah, so right. So the value proposition is, we have plenty of data that shows the impact we make on retention, job satisfaction, and likelihood to recommend and refer the company, as well as the perception of the company. And we also can share with them research that shows the level of impact that we have on the individual users. That being said, that's sort of the data part of here's why, here's what makes a good ROI. You'll retain your employees. I would say that the companies that we work with and the companies that this type of product resonates with are companies that have made a commitment to gender equality and equity. And they really have KPIs against it, because what Tone allows and affords companies is this very scalable turnkey solution that can go to large groups of employees. And so that really helps move. If you look at the research that McKinsey did and Lean In last year, you know that there's a broken rung challenge, right? And that women are not getting promoted at the same rate as men at their first promotion stage, if you will. And so what Tone does is Tone is a tool, right, that organizations can use and provide to their female employees to help move them along and to help move that, narrow that gap, if you will.
And what are some of the things that you suggest companies can do to fix that broken rung?
Right. I mean, look, there's no one solution, right? But certainly getting access to development, which is what we do, development, leadership development, personal development, that is certainly a part of a very complex question, right? There's a lot of other challenges that need to be addressed there, where what I can speak to is, when there's a lack of access, when there's a lack of support, we can be a part of that solution where we're providing a supportive community and also access to knowledge and experts that women typically wouldn't get access to until much later in their career.
All right. And so it's sort of providing leadership development. Like, what are some of the specific gaps that you see that you've been addressing with the videos, as well as the executive coaching? Maybe that
Right.
that you have determined that maybe women aren't getting that perhaps men are in the workplace. What are some of the gaps that you're trying to fill?
I can tell you what we're seeing as most popular, because again, women are self-selecting in, right? So we have videos, over 1,000 videos so far, and we continue to be in production. So there's no shortage of content. It's really finding what's relevant so that it gets consumed and hopefully implemented, right? So what I would say is, consistently executive presence is a topic that is always viewed and watched. Also, some basics like stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in meetings? How do I identify that? Those are things that you may not know early on in your career. So it's that those type of skills that are not necessarily a hard skill that you're training for, but really a soft skill as to how to manage, how to ask for more responsibility, how to raise your hand. Those type of questions on the work front. On the life front, a lot of balance, right? It's the work life balance, it's mindset, it's confidence. Those are the areas that are most popular and what seem to be resonating most with women.
That's interesting. I interviewed Nyla Bari on this show just a few episodes ago, and she did some research on what happened to folks who were high-powered professionals and got laid off after the 2008 recession. And what she noticed in her research was that a lot of men who got laid off would be like, "Oh, no problem. I can go do some consulting," right? And
Right.
what women, a lot of women in her research said, "Oh, well, I maybe I should go get another degree," because they didn't feel in her research like confident that they could go out and just like be a consultant or a contractor or sell them their expertise.
Yeah, you're spot on, and so is she. We actually have a study that we haven't published yet, which is all about confidence, and it's a significant driver, but it's also a significant challenge, right? And that's a very complicated concept. How do you build one's confidence? And it's definitely very different between men and women. So is the concept of promoting yourself, right?
Mm.
Self promotion. These are also things that where do women learn that it's not okay to self promote, but guys are great at it. Like, good on for them. These are things that we need to address because, again, to your point, what are the things that are holding back? Some of it is institutional, some of it is not. Some of it is, developmental. We just need to learn, become more aware of it.
Yeah. Tell me about just the kind of process of producing these videos. How do you kind of decide what video you're going to produce next, and then like get the script written and have
Sure.
like how's that whole process work?
Yeah. So I'm a very data driven. I love consumer research and I love market research. So we pretty much are always in field testing. What are the topics that we need to cover, as well as, even though you can say we've covered a particular topic like executive presence, there's always different takes on it and different ways people approach it. So we're always looking to bolster that as well. So one, it's based on market research and the feedback we get uh, from our memberships. So that's one piece. Then the second is really identifying experts, and I mean experts, not influencers. So these are women. We actually have recently had our first man join us as an expert, Dr. Stephen Jones, and he did a bunch of videos for us on unconscious bias. But it's really finding people that this is their life's passion, this is their body of work. There is the credibility, the credentials, credibility. Oftentimes they're published, where they are, true experts, if you will, and they want to be a part of a community that is helping women. So once we identify the topics, then we identify the experts that have the right tone. You'll see when you watch some of our videos, they're very how-to, they're very encouraging, they're very positive. Um, Not a lot of shaming, not a lot of sarcasm. There's definitely a formula there. Then we actually, through our research again, uh, created a format for these videos. So, there's a few outliers, but the majority are all under 5 minutes, to really fit into that micro learning idea. What we also do is the videos have how to uh, a focus. So we're really looking to deliver in a very short period of time specific, here's what it is, here's why you need to know about it, and here's what you do. And then at the end of every video, we have what we call our tone takeaways. And your tone takeaways are your executive summary. They're your 1, 2, 3 of here's what you need to remember. That's done for a couple of reasons. One, it reinforces what you've just learned. Secondly, what we know, and this is also science-based, is if you were unitasking, if you were actually just watching that video, that information is encoded into your brain. And so the next morning, what we actually send is a tone takeaway notification, whether that be on our app or whether that be an email. And it basically is, thanks for watching, here are your tone takeaways. And if you do open that and engage, it does help you recall what you learned the day before. So that's part of the process and the production process. All of our content, for the most part, is lightly scripted, so it's produced. It's not just someone talking off the cuff. And that's the process. It takes, it's an investment. It's carefully curated so that we have, really high rated videos and high engagement.
From being involved in this for what is your takeaway on what sort of keystone habits or kind of some of your top recommendations that people have found most helpful from the whole set of videos that you've run?
Oh my goodness. So the feedback, I think there's perceptions of them just feeling appreciated. When we do research, if their company is buying this for them, they feel appreciated, they feel acknowledged, they feel like they belong. I think that's something that's really important to notice and to recognize that is important, to feel like you belong and that you count, if you will. What I would say the big categories are obviously the confidence category, and there's a variety of lots of videos there because you can come in confidence on a whole bunch of fronts. And confidence, again, crosses between personal and professional, right? So that's one large area, and just building confidence. And again, everybody builds confidence in a slightly different way. And also the flip of that is the things that don't build your confidence. It's those behaviors that actually pull your confidence down. And there's tons of videos that we have on that, whether that be negative self-talk in your head, to, getting into environments or relationships that are toxic. So those type of videos are very, very popular. So the areas confidence, are huge. And then again, just some of the basics when it comes to being more assertive and realizing that being assertive is not negative. and being comfortable with that. Again, that's a little bit, it tucks under confidence. And then some of the basics on, what I would call some under the executive coaching, right? Which is, again, how you show up is how you're perceived. And that has a very broad swath of videos underneath it, right? Whether that's how you're dressing, what your attitude is, how you're presenting. That's a very big piece of what we're helping women with, as well as, again, the stakeholders, the um, running meetings, the asking for that promotion, asking for that raise. It's okay if you ask for the raise and you didn't get it, doesn't mean you shouldn't ask again. Those kind of basics that oftentimes there's not someone in your organization that you feel comfortable asking how to. And so we're a third party resource that can help.
Let's talk about the coaching piece a bit. There may even be some listeners of the show who might be interested in joining the ranks if you're looking for new ones. Tell me a little bit
Sure.
about the types of coaches that you have and kind of the process that you have for pairing up people with the right coach, or maybe people opt in and just choose one. Just how does the coaching work with your platform?
Yeah, so the way our coaching is, there's the live stream events where you have access in a community environment. So that means you're among lots of others. And then there's access to the coaching in an on-demand video play, right? So how we do that is we're not necessarily matching you up based on a specific coach. We're actually matching you up based on topics. And then those topics are then served to you. So we could have several experts that we would then push content to you based on what your interests are. So if you're interested in confidence, we may have 4 executive coaches and 3 PhDs that we're going to push their content towards you. We also make sure that when we do push content to you, that we're not looking to overwhelm you, because we actually, with women oftentimes being the last on their list, we really want Tone to be an experience that you look forward to and you actually kind of have the experience of accomplishment. So it is not a content experience that is an endless scrolling of videos. When you do arrive to your personal page, it's designed for, your interests. So we're serving you videos that you're interested in. So the difference would be if you and I sat side by side and you logged into Tone, the algorithm would not be serving you the same videos. We would have a different experience.
So, is there any kind of one-to-one interaction between coaches and individuals? Do they do like kind of private sessions, or is it more like you'll get?
No,
Okay, none of that. All right.
yeah, no, we're not facilitating that. There's plenty of other companies out there that are doing that one to one. Our area of the market is really for those women that aren't necessarily going to get access to that one to one, where we can actually bring it in a community based learning environment with, again, the short form on demand videos.
Great. And what? Tell me about your events. What have you learned about? And are these in-person events or virtual? And
Yeah, so they're both. The in-person events are usually sponsored with a specific partner and companies that we're working with. What I will say is where we get the largest attendance is on our live stream events. And especially in the world we're living in today, we've seen an extraordinary uptick in attendance and participation. And these events are about an hour of a expert who basically is live streamed into our interface. All of our members join. You can come in as yourself, or you can come in as what we call shoe cognito. Shoe cognito is basically giving you the ability to step into someone else's shoes if you don't feel like being yourself today. We've had topics like narcissism to today, again, sleep. We're going to be taking on anxiety. We're going to be taking on loss. We're very tuned to what our membership needs today, right? What that meant is that this past month, we've actually had live stream events every week based on what our members are needing and asking for. So we had, trying to stay sane as a work from home parent. Then we had, mental toughness, how to make sure, you're building your resiliency. Now we had sleep, where we also, with it being diversity month, we also talked about how in times of crisis, an inclusive mindset is mission critical. So those are just four examples of what we did in the, literally in the past 30 days to serve our audience.
Fantastic. And what, in terms of some of the practicalities of running an effective, a large event that's virtual, what are some of the lessons learned that you have in terms of to make it interactive and dynamic?
Yeah, and that's a great question because I have to tell you, so many people are like, wow, I'm, going to these live events and it's like watching paint dry. What we find is, I think because they're so authentic and there's such a level of self-selection in that you have women who are interested in the topic, they're already part of the tone community. We have people, the majority of people that are coming into the event staying with us for the full hour, which is extraordinary. And they're very interactive. What I will say is when you have thousands of people there, we always are concerned, are there going to be too many questions? We have not bumped into that yet. It is a curated experience so that, people aren't just barging in. There's, the expert is talking about a specific topic, and then there's some level of Q&A. So it's very curated and calm. And what's kind of extraordinary is, I think, how quickly our audience becomes very vulnerable fast. And I do think it's because of the online environment where questions are asked that I'm not sure would be asked in a live situation.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation that sometimes virtual events, people could actually get even more vulnerable or have a deeper experience than an in-person event
Yeah,
in some ways.
it's been pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're experiencing as of late.
What have you seen any other you know data points or trends with the coronavirus? Have there been certain topics that you've seen kind of increase in interest from subscribers?
Yes, yes, most definitely. So again, part of why we've been doing the topics that I just mentioned is also a function of the usage of the videos that we're seeing being viewed, right? So it's the work-life balance, it's the parenting struggle, it's the mental mindset, it's anxiety, it's all of those videos. Um, are getting extraordinary high usage right now. So we're seeing a major uptick in that. So anything that's stress related, anxiety, parenting, work-life balance.
Now, you're
I guess that's not surprising though. I think because everyone's experiencing that to some degree.
yeah, no, those. I mean, that's sort of in line with what I guess I might have expected. With many of the listeners of this show are selling into a larger corporate buyers. Could you tell a little bit about how you go to market and what's your been approach on the business development side of opening up conversations with the right people to talk about what
Yeah,
Tone Network
yeah.
does?
Always a journey. And I would say for us, what has been most impactful is really getting those first couple of clients, which are always tough, right? That it's just getting the person that believes that has a need. And then what I would say for us, what we found is that referrals are really what is probably most impactful. That once we get in and we know the product works, we can prove it pretty quickly. We then actually find that our clients are like, I'd like to introduce you to. And so that's what has been a pretty extraordinary experience and a very generous one from all the clients that we work with.
Yeah, that's the best. And any specific tips that you have on helping to open up those referrals? I mean, do you, kind of building on your own
Oh,
confidence
yeah.
training? Do you ask for them or?
Yeah, I do. Well, you know what? Usually, yeah. And I basically just say, our business is built on referrals. And usually it's pretty quick that we get really good results with super high engagement. And it's like, look, if you know of anyone or any company that you think uh, would make sense for, that are like-minded, we would love to meet them. And that pretty much opens it up.
Mhm. Thank
People are, I think when people have when a person, a buyer at an organization, then has a product that they purchase that then has a really good impact, I think they're quite happy to help
you.
because it reinforces their buying decision.
And to what degree are you kind of proactive in terms of, you reaching out to, I don't know, heads of HR or the right person at corporate, to sort of initiate conversations? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I think again, it's really more from an introductions perspective, where we really look to find a more strategic way in than simply just making sort of a cold call.
Hmm.
We also find, quite frankly, that it's not always the HR person we start with. Oftentimes it's someone that this idea of empowering women is resonating with. And then that's how we kind of move into an organization. And then HR is kind of comes to the table.
You mentioned community a few times. Um, Beyond the interactions during the live events, uh, what other ways, if any, do you create to enable the members of Tone to kind of connect with each other and have discussions, and support one another, uh, as a community?
Right. So there's two things. One is that all of our videos are shareable, and so that's part of what we encourage. Is if you see something, please share it with a friend or colleague. Right. So if you are a Tone member, that shareable video, you get the entire video. If you're sharing it to someone who is not a Tone member, they get a video promo, and then they can become a member if they'd like. The other piece that we do, which we haven't really spoken about a lot, is the custom learning experiences that we work with organizations on. And so when Tone launches in an organization, we actually create a co-branded environment for our partner. This environment is basically a place where messaging goes when it comes to any learning and development and D&I initiatives or anything at all that is relevant to the group that are actually experiencing Tone. It also becomes a place where we do custom playlists for the companies that we're working with. So let's say we're working with a company that has a specific type of busy season. We would create playlists based on their direction that are about managing stress, short on sleep, that sort of thing. So that's another piece that we customize for our corporate partners. What we also do is, and this is a piece that we didn't really talk as much about, which is role modeling. Women need role models to see and track towards. And so one of the things that Tone does is make it very easy for executives and organizations, one, to share videos with the other women in their company. But also the way the interface works, we can also easily do live stream events with executives, basically there to have a quick chat with the Tone community within their own company. So we're there to really facilitate connecting the women together. Oftentimes we're working with companies that are global. And so we just sort of really make it very easy for companies to turn this on and to begin to make it happen.
How You mentioned earlier that you've done some measurements. How do you measure your impact?
We measure our impact today with research, right? So it's actually quant that we go out into against all of our members and ask, a a battery of questions about retention, about impact. Farther down the road, when we have more longitudinal metrics, we'll also be able to look at how we're impacting retention and or growth with our corporate partners.
Fantastic. Um, so, Gemma, if someone wanted to find out more, where would they go online? If you want to share, I mean, obviously,
Sure. Yeah.
let's
Thank
share
you
the
for asking.
yeah, let's share the
Yeah. Thank you very
website.
much. Yeah. It's tonenetworks.com. Please check us out. Email us. Just we have info at Tone Networks. I'm Gemma at Tone Networks. Happy to hear from your audience. Uh, and really, it's a very intense time that we're all experiencing. So we're happy to have people come join us.
Fantastic. And we'll include those links in the show notes as well, Jim. If there's any other social media that you want to share, we'll include those in the show notes. Thanks so much for
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks so much for
All right.
joining and talking to us about tone
Thank
today.
you. All right. Take care. Thanks for having me. Bye bye.